All right. Welcome to a bonus episode of Paranormal the New Normal. And this special day, my guest is London Wolfe, who I found on Facebook in need a guest. And she had a very interesting experience, and I am dying to hear about it. But first things first, I'll let her introduce herself so we know who she is.
Okay. Hi, like I said, I am London Wolfe, and I am considered a star seed. And so that means I have a lot of celestial origins and a crazy story in terms of how I found out that truth that I can't wait to talk about. I am an energy teacher and I am also a career strategist.
Ooh, interesting combo. When I saw your post, I'm like I wasn't expecting it to be anything for me. Then I saw the alien part. I was like, what's this now? But
I
but
it's amazing. With the story, you'll see how it all aligns, but I'm like a brick. So I have a lot of guidance in like the spiritual realm and a lot of like skill development. Like
all right. And yeah, you are cutting in and out again a little bit, but I don't know what to do about that at this point. But
I say something. And it, you went away.
oh, I did. That's weird.
Yeah.
You froze for a second, but then I could hear you talking. So, but anyway, let's get into this story because I am dying to hear it, and I've been dying to hear it for about a week now. So let's go.
Okay. So my first encounter, I was 18 or 19. I was in law, and all of a sudden, like I had a computer desk and a window, and so I'm looking out the window and I see like this pulsing little red light in the sky, and it caught my eye. What's going on? Like, is it me? Let me check this out. So all of a sudden, the light started to descend real slow, and then it just stopped. Now I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I'm like, this is not a plane. This is not nothing normal. Like, what's going on? So I told my sister-in-law, I was like, hey, do you see what I'm seeing? So she looks out the window. She's like, yeah, I do see it. All of a sudden, it disappeared. And then it came back. And then to the left of the window, there were these two hovering crafts. Very low. I don't know where they came from, how they got there. There was no sound, and one was just like cruising very low across my street. And then there was a light, and then another one appeared. And I ran downstairs to my family, woke the house up, and told them, like, hey, there's some extraterrestrials outside, like in these ships cruising by our street. And my father and everyone went. They didn't see it, but my sister-in-law and me saw it. So that was like the first like part of the journey for me when I realized like, okay, I'm being watched.
Well,
That was fun.
before you continue, I just want to give a few shout outs because we have some viewers.
Mhm.
And hello, V Team Paranormal. Haven't met you yet, but would love to have a talk with you someday and possibly do a crossover. Waza, what's up, my brother? He was on my Waza was on my show a week or two ago, somewhere around there. But another good guest. And hello to Raymond Newsom, who liked our video so far. But as you were saying, please continue.
Yeah, so that was like my first introduction into like actually seeing like kind of, but when I kind of life and I started to get more into like spiritual and I started to channel and I started to pick up different beings. And there was like one particular being that came to me. I forgot her name. Something with A. And she gave me like a certain name of food, but I could my mind was trying to like make it out. So I first heard like Pleiadian. So I was like, what is a Pleiadian? I Google nothing came up. But found like this lady who I was talking to online and she was like, no, you're trying to be aliens. And I was like, oh, this is weird. This
Oh
weird.
yeah, that's the great thing about StreamYard is I can put comments right up on the screen so everybody can see them.
Oh, I'm seeing that's and so I was like, this is weird. So then I start getting information on like this particular thing. Uh, this guy from like showing up in my dreams and was telling me like my origins, like my soul origins are from the 80s. So went from that down to other groups of beings showing up, Lyrans and Octorians. And like every night I would get visited and they would activate like my crown because I have chakras. They would act like chakras. I feel like this force coming through my body. And like sometime I would feel myself kind of like raise up. Um, there was one time where I got bold and I was like, okay, I'm ready to like see you physically. And then like I got touched on my back and I just freaked out and ran. I was like, I'm not totally ready for that. But I will always see their outlines, very, very tall beings, very, very tall beings. And they would like tell me certain things about like the world, like how it really operates and my connection. And like this lady was sent to me from Canada like out of the blue, and she was like, I was sent to activate you. And so she taught me like some ancient techniques. And I teach them for people now, but it was so surreal because I'm going through this and this is something that you see on sci-fi movies, but this is my real life experience.
Interesting, very interesting.
Hmm.
Now, you mentioned a couple different, I'm gonna call them species of aliens in this. Have you seen these creatures or aliens, whatever you want to call them?
I call them celestial beings,
Okay.
and in outlines of them with my physical eyes. A, a lot more communications tell
What?
visually in my third eye.
Okay. Well, that holds up because a lot of people have reported that aliens communicate telepathically, so that definitely holds up really good. And I never heard those names before. That's what's blown me away is those names. I'd never heard anybody mention those before.
They're,
Audience, has anyone in the audience heard those names before? Just out of curiosity, but I, not that I don't believe it, but I mean, just saying, I like to know if other people are hearing stuff I'm not. But
you go on. They're very popular in what we call ourselves Starseeds. If you put that term in, is a huge community. A lot of people are under that umbrella.
I've heard that term. I've heard that term, but
These are different type of beings that are part of that. Um,
huh.
yeah.
So, did they tell you you have a purpose of some kind, or is what you're doing your purpose?
Yeah. They, we call them where certain gifts that were like dormant inside that were meant to be activated at certain points in this time period that we're living in. Yeah, they definitely did that, and so like I learned different ancient languages, um verbally, like speaking verbally, and also like being able to draw them, like that was something that was given. um yeah, so I do the work that they activated in me in 2015.
All right, that's so. Were you actually would what happened to you? Would you call it were you ever like considered abducted, or was it just communication?
No, there was, when we say activations, that's like work being done on you. So basically, like how it's explained, like your DNA, right? You have strength. So when they do things, they change that to bring it back to its original strand, where you are like highly in tune with realms, Earth, right? So they do things to push out all of those negativities within your DNA. So when they would come and do, like I would feel the pressures and stuff, I would go through what we call like a purge cycle, which will like cause me to either like physically release something, maybe I sick, or just like change your thought patterns so that you can think more like what they're showing you, which is like your original thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
would I get it? It's kind of like what's that movie? There's a movie where they do that, where aliens abduct people and they unlock memories in their head and they realize they were part of that civilization at one point, but it's been erased. I can't think of the name of the movie. If someone in watching this knows the name of the movie, that'd be great. But um, oh my god, I can't believe I'm slipping on that. But
but that's basically what it would be like. Yeah.
all right, so how do you have any idea how many star seeds there are in the world? Like,
Oh, a bunch. It's not private. Like it's people are very vocal about it the last few years. Like large followings where they're doing things based off their gifts. It's a lot of star seeds in the world. Not as many star seeds as there are people, but there are a lot of star seeds in the world who are coming forth now and actually, you know, we're needed now.
well, yeah, with the turbulent times we've had in the last 3 4 years, even longer, possibly. I mean, it's just feels like it definitely is needed for some kind of healing to go on Earth, and there are people who need it. There are people who don't, I'm sure, but there are people who need it. And
But it's not just healing, like not just emotional healing. Like you have star seeds in different capacities, in different fields. It's basically having access to really high. Um, hold on, let me see how I can put it. Frequencies. Having access to really high frequencies and being placed in positions where your gifts can help elevate, and raise the vibration of those around you and the whole planet. So it's like big, big mission work.
is there an ultimate goal that they have for all the star seeds? Like, do the celestial beings have an ultimate which when you call them celestial beings,
Hmm.
I tend to think more of like the idea of angels rather than the idea of aliens per se, unless they're one and the same.
They're all one and the same. It's different dimensions.
Okay, that's that's synchronicity right there. Because my guest last night said the same thing, except she defined it as tuning a radio, and each frequency is a different type of thing.
Yes, and each one does have their own mission, and each person has a piece of that mission. So, like, the biggest thing that needs to be understood is that there's not just one way to see it. And it's not just one way to go about fulfilling that mission, but they give us all pieces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like being a secret agent for celestial beings. Like I kind of like relating it to that because it's definitely it's like a higher calling almost,
It is. It
which
is.
I always wish I had one, but I yet to been told to have one. So as
Well,
far
you
as
are now doing this right here.
well, I guess I mean I am getting a lot of people's stories and a lot of people's
This is
life.
not that's a normal conversation,
Oh
you know.
God, no. Well, with me, it kind of is,
Right.
but
With you, it's normal, but for you to, create a platform to give a space for people to have these surreal experiences, that is powerful work. That's part of your mission.
well, maybe I am doing my mission. I felt like for a long time now I need to do a podcast, and I got another podcast because of a friend of mine. Then I said, I'm gonna start this paranormal podcast I wanted to start for a long, long time.
Well,
So,
it,
but so, hmm. So, what were the names you mentioned of the alien species? Because I can't seem to recall them at this point because they're elaborate names. I mean, they're not like greys and reptilians, but
no, those are one. Those are they're popular too. But the three is that I mentioned were Pleiadians, Arcturians, and Lyrans.
Palladians. Why do I feel like I've heard that one before though?
It's a very popular name.
Palladian. Well, okay, Palladian. I'm thinking of
Pleiadians.
I'm thinking of paladins, like from like medieval times type things. But and so do you believe these celestial beings are? So, what's your theory about like Greys and reptilians and the Nordic aliens that supposedly are the ones that people see? Are these celestial beings part of those groups, or are they a whole nother race group, whatever you want to call them, on their
Uh,
own?
they're all their own race group. They all have different missions or involvement with um, civilization since it's been started. Even before civilization, during the creation of this world. Um, but they are their own. Some of them have good missions, like the ones I mentioned, and some of them don't have good beneficial missions to humanity. They have their own missions, right?
And which ones would those be? Just out of curiosity, I want to see what you say. But
The ones you mentioned.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known that the reptilians have nothing good planned for the planet Earth, and I don't believe the gray. I think the Greys are still trying to figure out where they stand with humans.
I think they're on the other side more so than for us.
Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe they got sick of abducting cows and people, and now they're just trying to figure out how to destroy us. But I don't know. I mean, who's to say? I mean, I've seen UFOs before, but I've never actually had contact with any extraterrestrial. My wife believes she's been abducted, but I never have had it. I have no reason to believe I've had any contact with them.
I'm glad that I had and
Oh,
have
I wish I
the
did, honestly.
experiences that I have, because it really taught me um, where to. Yes, the Seven Sisters, is where Pleiades are from. Yes, they are, and they are considered North. You're right.
So
Hmm.
those are, which actually I do. I had someone watching my show last night, and she is going to she had a guest on her show. She wants me to be on my show, and supposedly this guest, um, he has had relations with a couple different Nordic females.
That, yeah, I've seen a documentary on that too, and that has happened. They are considered Nordic. They are very tall and slender, pale beings, but that would be where my soul originated from.
Hmm, Inter- very interesting. And the Seven Sister Star System. I can't say I've heard of that one really, but that doesn't surprise me as I am not a. I love this stuff, but I'm not like a huge space head in that way where like I know the different star systems. Like I can't I don't have time to learn all that. I mean, that was astrology was in like high school, but
Mhm.
and they don't teach this in high school, of course, because that'd be opening eyes to things that are out there that the government doesn't want us to. But
Right. But like I said, it goes back to mm, you learn depending on how you are designed. So it's curious to you to hear that be the way that you're meant to bring this into your world. You know what I mean? Like this right here, just having this platform, learning from others, might just be best for you. Does that make sense?
yeah, I mean, everybody has an assignment. Is kind of what you're saying. Like everybody has a place, everybody has an assignment, and eventually we're gonna get we're almost fated to follow that assignment in a way.
Only thing that gets me though, that I notice a lot of, is when people are they're learning, people are learning, they're acquiring a lot of knowledge. But if you can't hold space for other people to have their truth and in the same conversation, or you know what I mean, or on the same platform, like, and you're shaming a person for like their experience, like that's something that we got to collectively overcome, like in this spiritual community or in this Starseed community, because it's like you got your knowledge that way, they got their knowledge that way, but let's learn. But to like tell someone like they're wrong or something like that, like I noticed that a lot, like that's not good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
we're all getting a piece of it, right?
yeah, I mean, I am a true believer in the fact that no one should be just telling someone they're wrong without at least having some speck of proof.
Right.
Like,
And that
don't t-
it's so vast. The proof is in the belief, you know?
yeah, I mean it is, which of course, most religions that humans created are founded on faith and belief, which
Mm.
is also why I'm agnostic because I have a hard time just believing in things, but without seeing the proof. But that's me. I mean, I respect people who can believe without seeing because to me that's a magical thing, and I just don't have that ability.
Well, your strength is being, because I design like these spiritual learning styles, and for me, what you're saying is you will fall into the logical learning style. So that still is considered an enlightenment style. We don't know it.
Yeah, logical, scientific, whatever you want to call it.
Mm,
I mean, same thing basically, but it's just so. What is? Do you know what the end goal is for these different species?
they each have the layers. I
Um,
just know what I'm guided to do right. I know some big picture things, but I can't share all that information that I
y-
know. I
yeah,
I'm guided to do on this and bring in their awareness.
interesting and right. I find this also interesting, but so why do you think that different species of different races of celestial beings have been abducting people since like the beginning of time, basically? Is it experimentation? Is it studying us, or is it to do like these procedures to unlock parts of our mind?
I think it's a mixture of all. It depends on the beings. A lot more races out here who are not the popular known ones. So I think it depends on the beings and where they're seeking.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I might have to add those names onto my list of alien races now, just to ask people if they know of them when I play Creature Feature. But definitely might have to do that. But as far as are these are all right, these races are they at war with each other in a way, kind of, or like on different parts of the universe? Are they at war with each other while other while some of them are exploring Earth? Are there other ones that are like in kind of a, for lack of a better term, a Star Wars in space?
I've shown like some things like that happen, but this is how I'm guided to answer you. So Earth is like free will, right?
Yeah.
It's like um
Well, we like to think it is, but yeah.
it is. It is on a cosmic scale because you have
Oh.
option of choosing between your shadow and your light and it can overlap. So how they're showed me is it's kind of like a battle or race to see like what race's consciousness can um let me stick here. Does that make sense?
What?
So say like you created something and I created. Say something was created. You was a part of it, I was a part of it, right? But we want to see if you're going to have the most influence or if I'm going to have the most influence and which influence is going to hold the longest. Does that make sense?
So it's kind of like battles between influencers online on Twitter and on Facebook, but just between races of celestial beings.
But also with the under this is the part though, again going back to that it's through our actions that decide what happens and who influence is going to be the most powerful, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I'm kind of my it always goes back to TV and movies for me, but it's kind of like I could see them all like on South Park, kind of watching Earth as a reality show, and they're taking bets with each other, like, oh, we're winning this one, we're winning this one. Like I could just I don't know, I kind of see it that way, but
But they don't it's not all just about humans and human like experimenting, like that's a human term. It's also about being a part of the involvement, like, with our planet itself. So influencing and, sometimes helping with the ocean if in or helping with weather or keeping us sustained, like from planet perspective. Like there's influenced by them there too. That's supporting and observing, not just like, oh, I want to see what that person's doing and experiment and check on them. No, it's bigger than that.
Hmm. Now, see, my wife said because I actually bought her a camera for her bedroom when she didn't live with me at the time, and but she basically said that in her camera she caught some
Right.
big. Yeah, I like that comment. That's why I wanted to put it up right away. But
Mm.
oh, actually, yeah, frogs probably do feel that way. I
We
sympathize.
sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
We mimic the same based off of Trish comment. Absolutely, we mimic the same. Call it. Can't get the word out right now. It's like I see it, get it out. They are very. Some are very interested in our humanity and our emotions, absolutely. And then there's those who have missions to assist with like making sure our ecosystem is still functioning. Depends on where they're coming from. At least that's how it's shown to me. But this world is created through the same blueprint. We mimic different things on different levels. That's what I'm trying to say. So like you're saying, a frog would think that we are abducting them the same way that we would think that they are abducting us.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, the lower life forms always think the higher life forms are doing something evil to them. I mean, if frogs can even come up with that, I don't know how intelligent frogs really are. I was a biology major, but I don't believe frogs were on that high of a list for intelligence. But
But without the intelligence parts, just the act itself being committed.
well, yeah, I mean, they probably think when a kid grabs them out of a stream that they're being abducted, but they don't realize it's just a kid being a kid. But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, makes you wonder if there's a whole bunch. Shannon, are you trying to say hierarchy? I think it's what you're trying to say. I assume.
Yes,
Okay.
myself. That's actually how it should be spelled. I can understand that one.
Hierarchy. Yeah, that is how it should be spelled. I mean,
Yeah.
but it took me a minute to realize. I'm like, is that a word I don't know? Or, but
No, I like that.
yeah, and that's very true, Waza. We are just plankton, basically. There's so many other species on this planet that have yet to be discovered, even, but
But
are out there.
going back to being a starseed, then you have some souls who are ancient, who are placed here in human form, you know, to bring in um a raising consciousness and to activate others who are here to remember who they are, to restore the balance on this
Hmm.
planet. So it's not just, you have regular people, not like that, but you have people who are just having a human experience, and then you have those who have ancient souls who have a greater mission.
Yeah, which I 100% get that. I mean, it's kind of makes sense because there are people who just live their normal life and they never have anything significant happen to them. They work for 40, 50 years, they retire, and eventually they pass. But that's just the way it goes. And then there are other people who. So, would we possibly think that Einstein or Newton or any of these big names in our history, in our human history, could have been some of these enlightened people who had contact and just didn't say anything because it was before the time when that was accepted?
I would say yes, and then sometime, had that and didn't know that what was going on too. I
Yeah,
to be brought into that awareness, like, hey, this is being brought to you by, you know, sometimes you just tapped in. Like I know for myself when I'm journaling or, I'm channeling, like I'll just go into a different state and I'm just being, when you're being really creative, right? Let's use a basic term. And now it's like you're just flowing and you're flowing. You're not always aware of the source. You're just like, I don't know where that came from, but it makes sense. So that could have happened with them as well if they weren't aware that it was coming from that source, because that's not the only place you can get the information from.
yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of a book I read when I was a kid about Einstein being an alien, but I mean, in that one, he just ripped off his face and he was a green alien. It wasn't exactly the type of same thing, but it was a good book for kids. It was actually a very cool book
That out.
series.
What was the name of it?
I want to say it's called. I want to say the first book in
Yes.
it was. I want to say the first book in the series was called My Teacher's an Alien.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Shannon, I do believe that.
Yeah, Tesla had there's a lot of weird things that happened to Tesla, and I think that's part of the reason why he disappeared and no one knows what happened to him. Because I think the government or the
It's ancient technology. When
yeah
people advancements, it's ancient technology. It's celestial technology, and it's all like intertwined. So like when we think of like basic stuff, we have like an airplane.
mhm.
That's the same as a UFO if you want to think of it like that. But it's how did they show me? It's like it's so like past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously, right? So when we get these big ideas, it's like they already had those ideas, already implemented them. So we're kind of like catching up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. So, but when but going back to when you said that, you think that some of us are ancient spirits that have been around for a long time, and we just kind of go from host by to host by in a way, which is kind of a way of reincarnation in almost a reincarnation type sense. But so, do you think that's where like the idea that say Odin or Thor or could like or any of those ancient gods like could pass through from body to body?
I do agree. They're like higher, high. I had a meditation the other day thinking about those beings you talked about. And I'm like, on some plane, they they could actually be celestial beings, right? That people saw, and interpreted their power, and then like throughout time, like the story's been retold and maybe been built up or maybe not. But I do believe that on some plane they do exist, or I'm just not certain the form fully that we're shown. But I don't
Yeah,
hours because I mean think of back in civilizations like early and we got all these tall statues and all these big things and it's like who built them?
exactly.
Or you see pictures and then there's like advancements in those ancient pictures is like where did you get that thought from?
Yeah, I mean, it's Stonehenge, the pyramids, all this stuff. It all
Mm,
goes back to what where they come from, and there's no way humans just came up with this idea to build these like out of nowhere. It just seems very illogical. Like,
we've always had influence. When mankind started, the first thought of humans was to look up and look
I,
out and to wonder, right?
yeah,
And then you use the formation of the stars to decide how to function on this planet.
I mean, I bring this up all the time, but it all goes. I mean, back in the caveman days, they had paintings on the walls of grays, which they only painted things on the walls of the caves that they saw on a regular basis, such as cow or lions, tigers, depending where they were. But
Yeah,
they they drew grays all over the world. So, and these civilizations are not meeting each other, like talking on like that much of a basis where they can do that.
right.
But oh, Shan has a good question actually, which I have a lot of theories about that, but I want to hear your theory.
Do you think? I think the giants were hybrids. That's what I honestly feel.
Which Neph- Nephilim, like not Nephilim, what's the word for it? There's a word in Norse lore for that. Nephilim's the plane where they're from, but oh my god, oh, why am I forgetting this word?
It's
Or
okay.
is it Nephilim? When it because the word I'm thinking of it means half god, half human.
Let's look it up. Half God,
Yeah, I'm googling at the same time because it's gonna. No, not demigod.
half God, half human. Demigod did come up.
Oh wait a minute, Even Norse mythology. That's what I want. All right, actually, I think this might tell me what it is, but it's gotta go into it. Like, why is it not coming up? Oh wait a minute, maybe it will. English roll songs, no. All right, I don't know why I can't come up with this word at all. It's gonna drive me nuts all day till I think of it, but that's what tends to happen with what I do. But
And I'm over here like really engaged too.
it's oh, it is Nephilim. I was correct. It was Nephilim because I mean, yeah, that's what they called. Like that's what they called the kin, the Omen. Like he was a Nephilim because he was part angel from Lucifer and part human, and
I,
that's what they call. There's a lot of that in Norse mythology. There's a lot of Nephilims, and in the Bible as well. They believe that that's what giants are, Nephilim, because they were created by angels mating with humans.
mhm. You hear a lot of that in different. I believe that that's what they are.
But yeah, I mean, giants, I could definitely see that being a thing. Because
Oh,
yeah, my little puppy. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi, Harvey. Harley.
animals, cutie.
Go play. But all right. Shannon actually had a good question. I came a few seconds ago. She has two questions. Oh, I'm sure the first Olympics was amazing, but I believe Hercules was supposed to be in them. So,
Yes.
and who doesn't want to see a muscled up, oily guy wrestling? And she also had this one.
Right. Heavy lifting. I definitely agree with our heavy lifting. Possibly too with the water systems. Yes, lakes and ponds were dry. Wow, I never thought of that.
I've heard that theory before, but I never put too much weight into it because it seemed like a almost like a fantasy book idea. But I mean, it would make sense. I mean, yes, it makes the same sense that icebergs were going through across the like when they were moving and they were creating all these different valleys and canyons and whatnot, and they also created lakes and ponds, or that meteors falling from the space created lakes and ponds. But
Well,
uh,
science, because if you can look in science and you can kind of compare and contrast and see, we're sometimes speaking the same languages differently.
yeah,
First originally said that we were actually way more taller, and over time we have shrunken. And like even it our current lifetime we've shrunken more because of pollution.
yeah, I've
So
heard that. I've heard that theory.
yeah, so it's you know it shows we were like
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I believe it, and I do find it interesting that they find giant skeletons all over the world, like Asia, Africa, the Americas. I mean, there's just all over the world, Europe even. There's these huge hills, mounds, and when they get dug up for building some building or from some kind of construction, they find giant skeletons. But as fast as they appear, the government makes them disappear.
absolutely they always will. They even come after the little person now. You
Which
know,
that's actually that's giving me a good idea, a good question here. Have you ever had them tell you anything about what's going on with the supposed Men in Black?
I've been told many things, but they tell me to be mindful of what I say because we live in a world where we're being and censored.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point, Shannon. That's a good point. For yeah, my camera.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. Yes, 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 Shannon. That's absolutely. I resonate with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. But also, in ancient times, they said that people would live a lot less longer life, a lot shorter life than we live nowadays.
That's what they.
So, I mean, but then again, who was it? Noah or Moses were supposed to be like 600 years old when they died.
But that's what they say, and who said it? Those in this current time with us, right?
Well,
That's
I mean, supposedly the ancient scholars were the ones saying it, but
who
I mean, it's
I'm
all
going source. That's what they say.
well. Like I always say, I need proof before I believe anything. So
I
I
mean,
like.
at the day, the greatest proof we have is the fact that we're living on a floating rock. Make that make sense.
Well, I mean,
That's
I
that's a wonder within itself that's unexplainable.
you mean like a planet, right? That's
Yeah,
what.
we're
Yeah.
on this floating rock. That's
Well, yeah.
that
I mean,
can't make sense of that.
I've been a huge believer in evolution for like the last 20 years, but lately I've been questioning it more and more because of different stories I hear and different things like that.
But just to know that from nothing and something created, and what created the first something, like sometimes I think people lose track of just that itself. It's not something that can be easily explained. But we live in this current system where they suppress your third eye and your sense of self and your intuition.
Yeah, I mean, sense of yeah, I mean, I mean the whole third eye thing. I don't think mine's ever been open. I just that's just the way it goes. Because I mean, I don't see anything, even though I want to see. I see no proof of a lot of things I want to believe in,
Yeah.
such as our good friend Bigfoot, which, as those listening to my show know, he's in my ads. His name is Squatchy. We're friends, but had, see that's one of the main reasons I'd like to talk to celestial beings is to finally solve the mystery of is Bigfoot an alien or has Bigfoot always been here and we just didn't know about it or we forgot about it over time.
I get you. I can't say.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bother asking because I'm sure I'm sure if you do know, they don't want you telling us.
Yeah, it's like I can't. I that one I really don't. I don't have
Yeah,
to that. This is good, enlightening, and me getting a chance to also connect with your community.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about streaming live on Parapost is it's all people who love the paranormal, and I put alien in the ad for this, so I knew I'd get listeners because anything alien related always gets listeners because people love aliens and the idea of aliens, celestial beings, whatever you want to call them. But
I I
we just talked about that, Shannon, and she does not know if she hasn't been told anything about Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I personally think there's a high possibility. Okay, well, I've said it on this show before, but I'll say it again because I like talking about the theory of this. But I think Earth. I have always had a theory that Earth is a prison planet for alien species that a global alien council wants to get rid of.
hmm,
So that's why Sat Bigfoot, chupacabras, dogmen. I think they're sea monsters, lake monsters, whatever you want to call them. I think they're all like alien prisoners that have been put on Earth and kind of trapped here. That's why Loch Ness was put into a. That's why Nessie was put into a little lock and not allowed to roam free.
that's interesting.
Which I like that theory. That's personally my favorite theory about all this stuff. But
I don't share in it, but I respect it.
yeah, I mean, it's of course it's not proven. I wish I could prove it, but Earth is a. I mean, I personally feel like Earth's a prison sometimes. So I'm sure other alien species will feel the same way. But
It's like I said, it all goes back. We're all
oh, okay. My 8-week-year old puppy I had for 2 days is doing something to my son that I knew was going to happen eventually.
uh,
Ooh, that's what I warned you about. What males do.
oh my.
But oh my god. But yeah, it's the whole. I don't know. There's a lot of theories. I mean, Bigfoot could have been just the whole gigantic. I'm not gonna say it right, but Giganticus or Gigantopithecus, or I can never say it right, but
I know what you're trying to say.
I like, were they always here and we thought humans killed them out, but then they just learned to hide from humans and they went deeper and deeper into the forest.
It's like, are they hiding or they're just resonating on the frequency of those who can and can't see them?
Inter- Interesting theory, Shannon. I do like that. I mean, Sasquatch half bear, half alien. Mm, I don't know about bear. Maybe half caveman, half alien, or half primate, half alien. I don't think Sas. I don't think Sasquatch is a bear by any means, really, because they just have different anatomy from what we believe.
I think
But
it's Sasquatch, whatever it is.
I mean,
I don't
mermaids.
necessarily.
Mermaids are a whole nother topic completely. I mean, I tend to believe they do exist, that it's related to Atlantis somehow, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, all these sailors that saw them in pirate times, in trading and discovery times, couldn't have just been making things up as they go. Like, they couldn't have all been lies. But I don't know. It's just interesting. Oh, well, actually, that's an interesting idea, Waza, because I would. I mean, I would love to see the difference if there is a difference. Like, if your brain, because we do only know what a quarter of the brain does by human standards. So,
I think so.
but I mean,
I think so.
so do you believe if Starseeds got a brain scan that they would show different things than regular human beings?
But I would exile believe they are star seeds. That's for me is that know they are star.
Well, I mean, either way, no, believe. I mean,
No,
to to outsiders, it's gonna seem like believe, not know.
and then when you and that's the beauty of dialogue. Then you course correct with more knowledge.
Yes.
Some you can believe something is different than me with believing and knowing. So I do. I those who know they are or those who actually are. Let's use that word. Those who actually are star seeds. I do believe they're different. I do believe our brain scan would be different.
Yeah, I mean, it be interesting to see though.
Mhm.
Hmm, wonder if there's a way to set that up almost. I
But I
mean,
also think if for anyone who does, like I know personally, when I started, like, that changed.
you cut out a lot during during that sentence.
I what did I say? Because now my thoughts are anyone, in my opinion, anyone who does any type of anyone who does any type of inner work, whether it's meditating or unlocking your third eye chakra, it does change your perception of how you see and function. So it's like you're unlocking a different part of your brain too. The way I operate is totally different from how I operated 6, 7 years ago. So I do believe that that would show up on a scan. I just don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, well, we like I said, we know so little about how brains actually work for humans that that could be why though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know. You don't- if you want to answer this question, go ahead. If you don't want to, it's perfectly fine with me. But
No, I don't.
okay, well,
Mhm.
there you go,
No,
Shan.
I don't is the answer.
Okay.
Sir, question.
Well, yeah, I assumed it was the
Oh.
answer, but because I figure you would say I don't want to answer that if you
Yeah.
didn't want to. But
Let me just clarify. I don't want to be rude, like I'm being mean or anything.
well, that's one of those questions that I would never make someone answer or expect
Right,
someone to answer unless they want to, because it's just personal. But
right. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
yeah, of course, a good host doesn't push people to do things. But so to sum it up, what should people, what do you think human beings should do differently to, if they want to try to have some kind of contact with these celestial beings, or if they want to try to reach out to see if they have the ability?
Um, always told to me that they're always ready to show up in the safest form. You are. I would just say do your research, align with your spirit before you open that door, because what's on the other side is not just all love and light, and
Oh, I mean,
you
yeah.
you want to make sure. So, um, just feel called to a certain group of beings, like research them, invite it into your frequency that way. And if you can talk to those who have had experience or knows how to operate, um, get guidance, because that's basically was one of the most supportive things for me. And then now I got the guidance, and now I help activate star seeds and you know their gifts and their purpose here.
Huh.
Hmm.
I don't know what to
I'm
comment on that.
I'm sorry for that. I can't speak for all African American star seeds. Um, I can't, but me personally, it doesn't affect. But I'm speaking for you. Send heart.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean,
You're a
yeah.
warrior. You're a warrior, though. Don't
Oh
be
yeah,
worried about that. Like, I applaud your strength. Keep going.
yeah, definitely. Please do, because you are one of my biggest fans. You've been on multiple of my shows, so
Persons in. I'm rooting. I'm rooting for you.
so do before we wrap this up, I have to ask this though: do we know anything about the dark, shadowy side of these celestial beings that people should know about?
Look in your government.
Truth, but as they would say in X Files, look for the smoking man.
Hmm. When you open your eye, everything changes and it'd be different. It also shows you what's in within yourself. Like going back to shadow work, your shadowy side, you have it in you. So when
Which, uh
go for it, when you know
oh.
who you are and you know your shadow, you know it lurks in all areas. It's duality, right?
I mean, yeah, everything's about duality. I mean,
Every-
religion's always about duality. Humanity's about duality. I mean, there's always good people. There's always bad people.
The universe is duality. Good and bad is personal judgment. It's fair.
Yes, I'm right there with you, Waza. That was a good answer.
Thank you.
But we will wrap this up because I do have to get ready for another show in a little bit. But I appreciate you coming on 100%, London, and
I,
it was a pleasure. Where can the listeners, or the watchers here, and the listeners of my podcast find out more about you if they want to?
um, if you have Instagram, you can follow me at london.wolf. Wolf is WOLFE. I think if I put it in the chat, will that help?
Uh, you could put it in the chat, and you could also send it to me as well because I will put it in the description for the podcast, so people can
Okay,
just
well,
click on a link or
I'll
whatever.
put description. I mean, you could put in description. I'll send it to you. But for anyone's listening, it's at london.wolf, WOLFE healing LLC. That's on Instagram, and on Facebook, you can just look for Wolf Healing.
Yep, and that. If, is there any other socials you want to give, or is that it?
Those are two main socials. Of course, if you want to work with me, you can always go to my website, wolfhealing.com. I was not offended, Shannon. I appreciate you though. Um, oh, I agree with you. I agree with you, Shannon.
And she also sent this afterwards.
You're very welcome.
And I thank you for coming on. And this episode will be releasing, so you know, and I'll send it to you as well that day. But it's going to be releasing this Wednesday on the 6th because
Uh,
it'll be my Hump Day bonus episode, which I like to do every week if I can. But
uh,
it's not always a possibility. Depends on if I can get the guest. But we thank you for coming on, London, and to all my watchers, thank you for joining Paranormal than Normal. I will be live for a lot of this week on a daily basis. If my damn calendar will open. Why does my phone want to do this now? So I will be live tomorrow, Monday the 4th at 7 p.m. with paranormal author Lon Strickler, who has written a lot of books about different paranormal subjects. And my music show, Maniacal Music Musings, will be live on Tuesday. And I will be live for part 2 of a paranormal crossover with the Bearded Brothers podcast on Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Ooh.
Or actually at 8 p.m. We're doing my show. I'll be doing their show at 7 p.m. and I don't know if it's live or not, but and then I will also be live uh, at 6 o'clock on Thursday, July 7th, with another author. I believe she's an author. Yeah, she's an author. Yeah. And that will be it for this week. But I think that's enough for 1 week.
Yeah, pretty good though. Pretty good. I love it. Thank you for having this space for people to share their stories. You are appreciated.
Oh, and one more comment before we go, I believe.
Very true. Very true. Very sensitive DNAs, absolutely. But there's access also to, of course, medical, do your thing, but there's also access to frequency healing, listening to certain frequencies, which can help unlock healing in yourself too. So, along with your regimen, I suggest, highly suggest, listening to frequency meditations for health and healing.
All right, and that will do for Paranormal Than Normal tonight. All my lists. Oh, welcome. We are just about to sign off today, though. But as I just said, my show will be on here every day this week, basically, except Friday. So I every evening just look for my live videos on Parapost Network. They're advertised before they start. They're advertised for a couple days before they start. I'm working on that right now. I was working on it before this live, and we'll be working on it the rest of tonight too. So they'll all be advertised in tonight. So feel free to check us out next time. I have a lot of interesting people coming on, just like London here. So, and I was happy to have her on. And for all my listeners, you can always go to Paranormal the New Normal Facebook group, and that's where all my podcasts are posted. So, including my other paranormal podcast, which is on Parapost on Saturday nights, Global Strangeness, a discussion podcast with 2 or 3 co-hosts, depending on how many we have that night. But thank you for coming on. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you tomorrow night at I believe it's at 7 o'clock.
Okay, everyone, have a good day. Bye.